Hey there, would you like to elevate your day? Make it a little more special? Welcome to Seeing Beauty with Sandy. And today we're going to learn how to make a wonderful pot of tea in a pretty teapot without cracking the pot. So I hope you're ready to have a little fun. Now if you're already thinking, well, not really a tea drinker, I really would prefer coffee. Well, if you've got some coffee made, pour it in a pretty little teapot. You know, historically and customarily, there've always been different pots for different beverages. This is a coffee pot, a pretty coffee pot. And this is a vintage chocolate pot. And if you've ever seen a sterling silver service, it will have a silver coffee pot and a silver teapot. So pretty pots is all about enjoying our warm beverages. So first we're going to talk about the teapot, and then we'll talk about the tea. This little teapot is actually one that I designed, and this is my artwork on it. And the lid says, "Greatest of these is love." And it has a little heart on the top for the heart of hospitality, of opening our hearts and homes to others. Now, I think everybody pretty much knows the recipe for tea is tea and water. Now, there's already some warm water in this teapot. That very warm water that I got out of the tap, and I've just been letting it warm up this pot. And this is the reason. If you pour boiling water directly into a cold or just room temperature teapot, you might crack it or even break it because it's like a shock to the china. So we're warming it up and getting ready with warm water in here while the water's boiling on the stove. Now, tea. Well, you know what tea is, and you probably know what flavor you like. There's so many wonderful flavors, but I've just got plain black tea, which is my favorite. And this is how much you use. This teapot holds 4 cups of water. So I'm going to be making 4 cups of tea. And there's 5 tea bags here. 5? You said, why? Well, there's one for the teapot. And so there'll be 5. Now you could use loose leaf tea, and then you would use 5 spoons of tea, 1 spoon of tea for each cup, and then 1 for the pot. Now here is kind of a neat way to use the loose tea. This is a little tea infuser, and it kind of opens up, and you put it in this little ball, and then you just kind of dunk it in your teapot and let it steep. Or you could just put the loose tea in and then let it brew, and then when you serve it, you have a pretty little strainer you hold over your teacup and pour it through the strainer. I simply like to use tea bags because they're easy, and I'm kind of all about easy. So I also wanted to point out, you may be thinking, well, once I get my tea made, how am I going to keep it warm? Well, this is a tea warmer, and it's very pretty, but you take the lid off. Inside is a little tea light candle, and you can light the candle, and then while you're enjoying your tea, you can place them there, and it keeps it warm. Or you could use a tea cozy, which is kind of like a little overcoat for a teapot, but it hides the pretty teapot, so that's not my favorite thing to do. Well, we're going to get ready to steep this tea. So I'm going to get the boiling water, and I'll be right back. And here we have our hot water. Now I'm going to take this teapot with its warm water, and rather than waste your time walking it over to the sink and pouring it out and coming back, I'm just going to pour it in this bowl so we can put the hot water in. Put the lid off, and there it will go faster. You might have a favorite teapot, or you might be looking for one. There's so many pretty ones. I know I've certainly collected a lot and I've designed a lot of them. Okay, now we have our teapot and I'm going to put the hot water in it. Now, even though I've already got it started to temper, I'm going to put the hot water in it slowly. I'm going to put a little bit of boiling water and then I'm going to slosh it down. Slosh it around. Let it get on the sides of the teapot and let the teapot get used to being full of boiling water. Then I'm going to do a little bit more. I'm going to be kind to this teapot. And then a little more. I'll just go ahead and fill it up. Okay. Got our hot water ready to dunk our tea bags. Now, I've got the little tag, I've got them tied together and I've got the little tag here so it'll hang out so I can fish them out, but not to worry if they go in the drink. You can just always fish them out. No problem at all. Now, this needs to steep from 3 to 5 minutes, depending on how strong you like your tea. So, while we're waiting for it to steep, if you're thinking, okay, now that I have a pot of tea, what am I going to do with it? Well, if you already have a little part of your day that you set aside as a quiet time, maybe a time to read, time to read your Bible, a time to journal, maybe just a time to sit on the porch. It's a perfect time to have a pretty pot of tea. So while this is steeping, maybe you could dash to the freezer and get out a brownie or a scone or those cookies that you stashed for just the right time. Stick them in the microwave and warm them up. And you've got a perfect little tea for one person. You know, it just doesn't take much time or much effort to do something really beautiful. It's simple, but it's simply beautiful. And it's special, and it makes your day more special. I hope you'll continue to join me as we look for the beauty all around us and how we can elevate and add beauty to our lives. I invite you to join me and subscribe to Seeing Beauty with Sandy on YouTube, and join me on Instagram at Sandy Lynham Cloud. Until then, enjoy your tea in these pretty pots.